pictures of a dust storm 1954. Mom told me that the streetlights came on in the middle of the day when the dust blew in. It was so dark. Lee Strader, Mr. Mosser behind the twins, and Elna Miller. Oh, and there was Margaret down there holding Mr. Strader. They called him Uncle Lee, but he was not kin to us. Mr. Mosser, our friend, their friend, the world traveler. Well, he wrote to me too. Mr. Haynes, R.B. Haynes of the Miami Chief. Lee Strader from across the street. And I guess that's Othello and Margaret on the tricycle. That's a linotype behind the nativity scene in the shop window. Back porch. The back of the house. In the shop in 1956. In the Hemphill County News Office.
She just didn't let him go. I knew something, but she didn't go. It happened.
There's Mom. The picture's in stereo. It's just one, Elna Miller. Working on slides, some of them which we've been looking at. All these slides were taken by Elna Miller. For many years to come. The slides, what I'm doing now. So I got a fancier little outfit to put them on video with. Her husband took movies. We have some videos of the movies somewhere. Except the very beginning of the tape, the ancestors were, some of those were photographs. She spent a lot of time preserving these memories. There's Elna Miller. I believe it said she was 36 years old in this picture. That's how old I am, Colette, right now. This is 1948, so I guess she was probably pregnant with Margaret there. She looks a little heavier than usual. I don't know though. I guess not. It's January 48. Must just be a bulky sweater. reading those green photography books. And there's several of these pictures, photography encyclopedias, which we each have at least one of those books left. And there's the type cases, which each of us sisters have at least one of those type cases. Mom and Dad could both set type, put it in the type cases. Looking at the big printing press, but over in the right hand corner is that proofreading press that Mary Helen still has. Just the end of it, the big roller thing that's so heavy. Othello playing cards, or playing checkers with Eileen, Uncle Rule's wife Eileen,
Mom,
Aunt Eileen, just a second.
Michael didn't go to school this bye. For that?
Okay, that must be Othello with his 16mm movies that we've already videoed. He soloed. And the other picture had his instructor in it. This is the one the painting was made off of. Yeah, that last one says Othello solo, but I guess that's not his first solo, because this is supposed to be the picture of his first solo. Anyway, Grandma has that story on the computer, so you can get the correct details, but this is the one Billy Harris made the painting off of. Painting. I had the other one turned around backwards. So, just put it back back in. This is the painting, the slide. The other was a slide of the painting. And this is the picture. Billy and Eddie are going to share that painting. Sherry's already took it to give to them. It was Elna's decision to give them that painting. That's the airport. I believe that's Canadian. And that looks like Aunt Eileen and Daddy, Othello. Looks like R.B. Haynes and Othello. Editors, R.B. Haynes, editor of the Miami Chief, and Elna Miller, editor of the Hemphill County News. Good friends. And R.B. Haynes and Elna Miller. And that's the corner of 4th and Elsie. They lived on one side of 4th Street, and then they moved across the street when Margaret was about a year old into the other house. And then after it was torn down, I've got my house moved in on that same land. So we see that corner for many a year pictures. And there's Othello and Alonzo Hand. Okay, they're at the house Margaret lived in when she was born, and in the back on the right hand corner you can see the front porch of the house they moved into later. And the other two across the street are still there. Some of them burning the trash. Looks like Rosie's taking a picture. And movies. Okay, this is how the shop used to look. We just call it the shop, Hemphill County News, and later the gift arena. It was originally the first post office in Canadian. This is how it looked before it was remodeled when the twins were little. They had a couple of other buildings. Both have been torn down before they got this one, which is still there. One was on Main Street, and then one was on Kingman, which you could see from this next to the Assembly of God Church, which is now Ishmael's house. But it was torn down. The other three like it are still standing. But this is the one we call the shop. See how the roof does. Now over on the right is Bobby's Country Kitchen. I'm doing this tape in 1994. This is in the 40s and maybe early 50s, I don't know exactly when they remodeled it, but the new pictures, some of the new pictures say 56. I believe that might be Rosemarie there. The lumber company paint keeps coming through on that other building. They keep painting it out every few years. See, it used to have an awning on that's not there now. So I guess the old post office It had an awning, I guess, when the old post office was there. When it was the old post office. Somebody who knows about cars can give us an idea what model that car is. Or Rosie and Mary Helen may remember when it was remodeled. They may remember how old they were. Well, I'm pretty sure they remember when it was remodeled. I don't know if they remember how old they were. Okay, now they're starting the remodeling. The awning in the front is gone. Got the sidewalk blocked off. Attached to that shop, there's the tin ceilings being painted by Billy Harris, our first grade teacher's husband, who painted the picture of Othello on the plane and also a portrait of Margaret when she was little. We spent a lot of time in that shop, probably a lot more than we did at home. At home we were just about sleeping, is that about it? Sleeping or having a birthday party, it looks like. When I was little, me and Margaret, we spent the night, once a week they worked all night, the night before the paper came out, and we slept over there in the double sleeping bag, right under the old-fashioned ceiling fans. Mom had the ceiling lowered recently to save on heat. Oh, within the last 10 years before she died, probably. It's Margaret. So she might remember it. So 56 is probably about right for the year they remodeled it, if that's Margaret. Because Margaret was born in 49. So I wasn't sure if all these slides were supposed to be in the same pile or not, but I guess so. And to look more like we remember, like it does now. Except we have a different door now. At least a different window glass anyway. I think a whole new door. And this is one side of the shop. Peel County News, envelopes, letterheads, stationery, some kind of forms, I think it says printing. Well, that's what Billy Harris painted on this side that you could see from Kingman Street. I think now it says, it did say Mr. Pibb for a while. I think it just says the gift arena now. Gutenberg Press, first printing press, painted on the side. And Billy Harris did all this painting. The Hemphill County News. Modern equipment for fast economical service. Now that side is partially covered by the Bobby's Country Kitchen, but I think it's a Coca-Cola sign that's fading out, and it says the gift arena, news and gift arena maybe. This is 118 North 3rd Street, Canadian, Texas. I think over there on the left you can see across the highway to the Moody building, which of course is still there. One of our historic buildings. Window. Miller's camera shop was in the building with the Hemphill County News. They ran both of them. Sold film, books and magazines, ran the newspaper. Did all kinds of printing. And Mom continued to print the funeral notices after Daddy died, and then she ordered printing done too for people. 51, the old Country Campbell printing press. The old press, it says. And they did some remodeling, I think it said in the back of the shop. Years old, that'll be about 51, alright. I guess this is probably when they're selling the Country Campbell and getting the new one. Or, I don't know. I don't know when Grandma wrote this on the slide. Just as old press, 1951, Country Campbell. Before, but that's 1954. Got a little handful of old ones before I start the more modern ones. Yeah. 1954. Arthur Stanley, author of the book Rodeo Town and many, many other historical books. This is June 6, 1954, after Rosie's baptism. Rosie was born in 36. I believe me, Colette, is the only one who was born when the family was already Catholic. And still, Bella and Elna hadn't been baptized yet. But I was baptized right after I was born at Nadine's wedding. After Nadine's wedding. The twins, Mary Helen and Nadine, Ruth Miller. Dance, 1956. They've already took most of their slides home. So I just put a few of these that seem important. And what's so important about this is there's not very many pictures of Bill or Sterling because they died just a few years after they got into the family. 57, year before I was born, so that must be Margaret down on bottom. Let's see. Margaret from the right, very far right. Linda, and I think that's Bill Purcell. Rural, must be Nadine. I can't make out the other faces on this tiny black and white screen, but I'm viewing. Looks like maybe Frank and Pearl or someone's there. Well, that must be Eileen over on the left, maybe. It's really dark. Okay. I hope they get their slides put in order and get all theirs done. It took me 2 weeks just to put my share in order. And then I've added a few to this video that aren't mine, just because it seemed like they were important. Othello, Margaret. And I can't see good. I guess that's Nadine and Bill. Our cousin Ernie Doopy. This is in 1957. Othello and Elna's nephew. And that's Ernie in 1957. He was their favorite nephew. little handful here of mostly Ernie and some of Helen and Fred. I guess they're all around. No, some of them may be older than this. Closer, any closer up on these slides, but we've probably got a prints of these too. Fred, Ernie, and Helen. Helen Doopy, Elna's sister. First grade teacher in Winoka for many, many years. And she taught in some other places too. Let's see, Ernie and Helen. I'm going to have to check who that baby is, I forgot. 57, I should have remembered. It's Stephanie. Stephanie Bentley. She's just a few months older than me, not quite a year, 11 months. We were in the same grade together, me and Stephanie. So that's Helen, Stephanie, and Ernie. These are Helen, Nadine, and Ernie and Margaret in the middle. 1957. In 1956. That's Helen and Fred Doopy on the edges, and there's Ernie in the middle. And this is Christmas 1956. Helen's new kitchen, I think it is. Her modern kitchen. Doesn't that just look like it should be in Good Housekeeping magazine, that picture, and the next one too. Helen's old house at Winoka, May 1948. Got about 3 of these. Then we'll get into the more modern ones that I've got in order. And that's Helen up on top with one of the twins, so that must be Rosemary on bottom. 1948. Helen and Fred. In 1948. Helen and Fred Doopy. There's the three amigos in 1957. Looks like they're in front of the Miami Chief office in Miami, Texas. Mr. Mosser, world traveler that Othello and Elna met traveling. In the middle is the editor, R.B. Haynes, and the tall one is Daddy, editor Elna Miller, the Hemphill County News. You know, everybody, you probably want to turn the volume down. I'm just adding a little bit of narration for people like my grandkids who might listen to it someday and don't recognize these people. And pretty soon we should get to people everybody in 1994 should recognize. This is Othello and Mr. Mosser. And if you don't recognize him, you may recognize some of these souvenirs that he brought back. Because Elna still had a lot of them. Things from all over the world on his travels. He was a lawyer, and he also, when he was a teenager, I think Mom said he was a paid pallbearer. Mom went to visit him shortly before he died in Allentown, Pennsylvania, when she was on her way to or from New Hampshire and got in a bus strike. 1957, Elna and Othello, and it looks like Elna's expecting me, Colette. Let's see, I was born in April, so. She must be about 5 months pregnant there. Wedding rings. And looks like they may have got a camera in this picture. We always had big old Christmases, as you will see in the slides. 1958, a very good year, the year I was born. And it says this is a picture of an extra bright star, and Eddie Abraham was in the shop at the time. That's the same lilac bush I've got now. Hospital window. Florence Colette Miller at the time. April 14th, 1958. And the hospital I was born in, which I believe is just me and Margaret, well, a lot of the nieces and nephews were born in. Anyway, now it's the YMCA. This is still me, Colette. There's one picture of another baby born the same day, but I'm not going to video it or we'll get it mixed up with mine. This is our Evelyn Bender and Mrs. Barnett. This is Mrs. Luther. Now these are when I'm in the hospital. One thing I don't think I got pictures was of Othello when he was in the hospital in 1957. We have a lot of pictures, but I don't think I put them on the tape. There should be some when he was in the hospital in 67 coming up. But the ones before I was born, I just put a few things in, and I really should have put one of those when he was in 57. But this is Miss Luther in 1958. This one doesn't say, but I believe my sisters know her. Yep, 1 week old. That must have been the 21st. So I was born on the 14th of April. There's a few of them here when I was a week old. And here I am, Colette, the little one, with Stephanie Bentley. I'm her aunt, but she's 11 months older than me. Colette a week old, and Colette's niece, Stephanie. I was an aunt when I was born. Piece of a slide taped in here, but it says Colette 1 week still. Stephanie looks like her niece in that picture. After Nadine's wedding shower. I think I already said I was baptized after her and Bill's wedding. 58. That's at Nadine's wedding shower. That's Ann Pavlovsky Best holding Colette, me. I'm not sure who that is looking on. That's Anita Lopez. And looks like Margaret's hair in the right hand corner. And I see Evelyn, and I don't know if that's Mimi or Mrs. Roth by Evelyn back there. Split up yet, so I can put several of the shower. Sherry's gonna try to get all Nadine's in order and video them. Well, I see Molly, and I think Evelyn and Mrs. Roth in the middle. I guess that's Mimi on the left. Mimi Lopez, Molly Estrada, Evelyn Carr, Elsie Roth. Can't see the rest. Ellen on the right hand side. And boy, I should know who's sitting by her. But the name's not coming to me right now. I'm 36 years old, you know. This was 36 years ago. No, seriously, I should recognize her from years later, too. I just can't think of the name offhand. Looks like Rosie's face in the right-hand corner. I may have called her Mrs. Roth in the other one. Mrs. Roth and Mrs. Merrill were both neighbors of ours. But this is Mrs. Merrill. Elephant is that Mom made Amber promise to take care of, was Mrs. Merrill's elephant. And Miss Merrill made Mom promise to take care of it and give it a good home after she was gone. So Amber's going to hang on to it now. So that must be Stephanie with the spoon in her mouth, and Colette and me in the other high chair, Margaret, and I suppose that's Mary Helen, since we probably already had Nadine's. I don't remember seeing baptism pictures of me, but they may be in here somewhere. No, this is still the shower picture, so it may be in the wrong place. Looks like Mary Helen's birthday. That's Ramona, straight in the middle there. Molly Estrada, and I guess that's Mimi Lopez and Evelyn Carr Dickinson. I know everybody knows Evelyn. Cleaning up the yard. Must be around April since the lilac bush is blooming. Okay, Frank and Pearl come for Nadine's wedding. Are you sure they didn't come to see the new baby? Those are Bella's family. I think it's Frank and Pearl Altuff. Frank and Pearl and Elna. So there's one slide I guess Daddy took. Mom took most of them. Once in a while somebody would get the camera and snap her. into the shop here. So there was a fence on the side of the shop at that time. And here's Colette with Granny, my granny. Elna's mother, Florence Anderson. Another one of Colette and Stephanie. I think this may be 1 month old. The next one is anyway. 1 month old. Stephanie, Margaret, and Colette. Stephanie Bentley. And 2 of her aunts, Margaret and Colette. Quite a few of me when I'm 1 month old. We always had that couch recovered because it was like a sectional, and at that time you couldn't find sectionals, so we'd get it recovered every few years. Giving me a kiss. The last one that says I'm a month old. But there's probably more. Don't you even think about fast forwarding this. This is May of '58. These don't say it, but I think somewhere I saw a picture that said this was Mother's Day, maybe. Yeah, it does. Mother's Day, 1958. But that's Father. Othello and Colette. For Mother's Day, Elna and Colette. And Othello and Colette. Elna wrote Mother's 65th birthday, so that would be my granny's 65th birthday, 1958. And it looks like Stephanie, Mary Helen, Colette, and Granny. Granny's birthday was, she was born on August the 7th. And of course she didn't live to be 100, but her 100th birthday was the day that my mother died, Elna, August the 7th, 1993. So I guess Granny was born in 1893, as we figured this up before. Mary Helen, Margaret, and Colette. I guess we already had Nadine's wedding. I don't remember seeing any of my baptism slides, so I know she had some, but I did find some negatives, so I'll have to remake them, I guess. Pictures in the Hemphill County News. Not mine. I was married after Daddy died, but Rosie, Mary Helen, and Nadine. Which the Hemphill County News is on microfilm, and the state keeps a copy, and interlibrary loan is supposed to be able to get a copy from any library. Any library should be able to get a copy of anything you want on microfilm out of the Hemphill County News. This is Margaret and Colette. Looks like we're getting our pumpkin ready for my first Halloween. These pictures. After I'm sitting in the chair, I don't really remember the last one, but I remember all these where I'm sitting by the pumpkin. Pictures. She never went back this far because she didn't think I could remember this far, so she went back several Halloweens. We're coming up to the one that, how I know I'm positive this is the time. And I was just talking away, and I can remember what I was telling Mom. When I found out how old I was, I can understand why she didn't pay any attention to me. I guess I was just talking baby talk. I was in the pictures. Our two dogs, Blackie and Peter. Dark. Out of order. I know Sherry was looking at it the other day, but I've seen it many times. I'm sitting there in the same outfit with the same pumpkin, with holding Blackie, our small dog, and our big old dog was in front. You can barely see him. Grandma was chasing him out, and I was so mad. I kept telling her I wanted both the dogs in the picture. But she just kept chasing Peter out and leaving Blackie in. She was trying to pose me and Blackie together, but she was so mad that Peter got part way in the picture while she was chasing him through. And I was so mad she didn't pay attention to me and let them both in, but I guess she didn't understand what I was trying to say. That's Colette, Granny Anderson, and Fern. I believe Fern and Elna are cousins. Okay. I believe that's Carol Ann in the white on the right. Must be me, Margaret, and is Stephanie in there? I don't know. I think so. Fern, Granny, and Colette. Interested in genealogy. All of Elna Miller's family histories, and a lot of Othello's too, are done in those Woodward County books. There's 2 blue Woodward County books. And before Granny died, she helped work on those books. In the middle of Anita Lopez. At the time it was Lopez. And Margaret. And I believe this is Margaret's birthday party, 1958. Margaret's birthday. She should have the ones with her in the cake and stuff. These were just a couple of extra. I hope all of them get theirs done in order like this. It's kind of fun to see the styles change and things in order. I think that says Mary Helen holding Colette and their friend, which is still our family friend, Mary Nell. At the time it was Mary Nell McDaniel. Helen and Colette. This is Colette, and it has a bunch of camera settings written on it. Othello way on Mark 5 or something like that. And some more camera settings. I don't know if that means Daddy took this one or what. Or just how Daddy told her to set it. Fate. I don't know how old I was. I was in school when we were looking at slides, and I told Mom, find that picture of me holding Blackie on the chair and Peter got in front. I wanted to get Peter. I don't know why you didn't let me get Peter in the picture. You chased him right out the door, and I think she even got the broom and chased him out. She didn't want him bothering the picture. But I was so mad. Then we found that picture. Took her a long time to find the picture, because she was looking for older. She didn't think I could remember this far back. We finally found it. She just couldn't believe it. But I can remember telling her all kinds of things, and I just couldn't understand why she didn't go along with my idea of getting both dogs in, posing with both dogs. Of course, that Peter couldn't have fit in that chair. I believe I'm 6 months old in this. Well, it's October, because I was with the pumpkin in the other pictures. November 13th. So maybe I was 6.5 months old, because this is at Margaret's birthday. I have to check those outfits again. I was either 6 months or 6.5 months old with that. Yeah, that was Margaret's birthday. Okay, so it wasn't the day of the pumpkins. It was the day of Margaret's birthday. Colette and Blackie, the other slide says, the November 13th, 1958. So that may be my earliest memory. Here's my first Christmas tree. Christmas tree in 58. Dad got for Christmas. Looks like part of his ham radio stuff. And there I am in the back. This is still Christmas morning, 1958. Othello and Colette. Margaret and Colette. Ellen, Margaret and Colette. See a lot of Grandma's slide boxes in the back. I remember my roly-poly. My roly-poly clown. We went up to see Nadine and Bill's Christmas at Sunray, and I guess Mary Nell went with us, or she was already there. That should be Mary Nell, Nadine, Bill, Margaret, and Elna holding Colette. Stephanie may have been overseas at the time. I'll have to check dates. But since I don't see her in the pictures, I bet they went overseas when I was pretty small. And she was kissing me goodbye. Maybe that's when she was leaving in that other picture. Well, that's all in 1958. Well, here's 3 of the twins' birthday. I don't know if we got them in. Let me add those to 58. Mary Helen's birthday at home. The twins' 18th birthday, but I guess Nadine was already gone. In Othello, Mary Helen, Margaret, and looks like Stephanie back there, and I guess I'm in the other high chair on the right. This is not very good. On the August 31st, 1958, her 18th birthday was the 27th. Well, there's Margaret, and Nadine's holding me, Colette. And that's all in 1958. I wish I hadn't got these 3 out of order. And that took 50 minutes to put them on tape after they were already in order. So I have to play back and see how long it took to watch it. Just 50 minutes just for 1958, not counting all of them at the beginning. It started with that Bright Star. Starting from the Bright Star to this one took just about 49 minutes to put them on video. It's 1959. Putting up the radio we got for Christmas, I guess, adding it to the rest. It's Elna Miller. Laying on the couch. Aloe and Colette. I thought that might be Stephanie there for a minute. It says it's me. Guess Daddy's watching TV. March 1959, my first birthday. Didn't have much. Tommy Tippy cup. What did I... Oh, thought I had a baton, but that's a push toy, I guess. I think I have a good picture of one of these in my baby book. That fish, in fact, I think I still have it up in my cabinet. I've got quite a few. I wish I had my Tommy Tippy cup, but I could never find it. It was so worn out last time I remember it. Probably just got thrown away. I love that fish too. Easter. A few times Easter has fallen on my birthday. Not this time. See a lot of the keepsakes Margaret and Rosie got inside that cabinet there. I don't see any of mine offhand. Of course, I can't see them very good with this little screen. First Easter. Margaret and her friend Vivian Tagg that lived up the street. Her mom still lives up the street. Dash made these dresses. So does that mean the twins made these dresses? Anyway, it says Mary Helen's in red and Nadine's in lavender. And of course Colette's the baby. Mary Helen the red, Nadine's lavender. Yeah, lavender dress. So it looks like I'm pinching Mary Helen. Sorry about that. I guess I'm eating it. Anyway, it's a candy Easter egg that Granny sent me. And there you can see those coconut heads up on the wall. I think Margaret has those. That's some cart. Colette, held by Ann Pavlovsky, old friends from church. Sterling and Mary Helen fixing to go to the junior-senior prom. That's me, Colette, in the middle. Of course, there's other pictures that just have Sterling and Mary Helen in them. I know I saw a couple of real good ones of them in these outfits. This is my copy of Bill and Othello. I know there's a bunch of these too. I found one of them marked that Bill was the clown in the July 4th, 1959 rodeo parade here in Canadian, I guess. And that's inside the Hemphill County News office. Othello with the cowboy hat on and back, and Bill Purcell as the clown. Browns, 1959, July the 4th. I think, is that Bill in the clown suit on his horse, maybe? And that car behind him looks awful familiar. 4th of July, we had to have a watermelon. Looks like we're at the city park. I think those are cement tables. We watched a lot of fireworks from the city park. Elna and Colette. And I'm not sure who's behind Mom. Before I started this tape, Me and Sherry and Amber have done about 15 full tapes of Elna slides and photos. So we're getting kind of tired of this, but it'll be nice when we're done to have. The slide sure looks good. I'm watching on a black and white monitor, so I don't know how this will show up. That's the fireworks, of course. Of course, when we watch the fireworks, the whole park can hear us going, ooh, ah. This was my first fireworks. We just took some pictures of Brittany on her first, watching her first fireworks. She wasn't too interested. So, it's November '94 now, and these pictures are 1959, still 4th of July picnic, I guess. Not sure, but is that Eileen? Maybe? With the dark glasses? I suppose that's Bill with the cowboy hat on in the back. I can't see though, and I guess everybody had cowboy hats. Birthday in 1959. I guess Nadine came home for her birthday. Looks like Nadine and Margaret and Mary Helen and Othello and Granny holding Colette, me. When they got their life jackets. Colette learning to walk, 1959. Doesn't have any month on it, but the way I'm dressed, I suppose it's summer. I looked in my baby book and Mom didn't fill that in when I learned to walk. She has most everything filled in. Granny, Colette, and Margaret. Pretty much in order now. So till someone else is born, I doubt if you'll get them mixed up. Yeah, my sister's first day of school. I guess Granny was there. It's marked Colette. First day of school for the other girls. Must be Mrs. Tipp's house in the background, I think. There anymore. Put a house in its place. Guess we had time to take a lot of pictures after the girls went to school. Stephanie in jeans and Colette in the plaid or checks. 1959. Guess this is my second Halloween. Yeah. Care, so Stephanie must be wearing the cap. With the bottle, and Stephanie trying to get away from the camera. The tallest, and Vivian Tegg's in there. See me beside Margaret, and I'm not sure who the others are. I guess one of them's Stephanie. Maybe Frances and Kathy, probably. Anita's sisters. because they're mine and Stephanie's age about. 1959. Colette and Stephanie. You can tell Stephanie's the one that looks like her niece Megan in most of the pictures. And there's that picture of Margaret hanging on the wall, painted by the guy who painted the one of Daddy in the airplane, Billy Harris. Boy, Mom always took a lot of time putting the icicles on our tree and getting it just perfect. We always had a real one when I was a kid. It's too much trouble for me. I usually use an artificial one. This Granny was here for Christmas. There's Granny and Colette. Granny liked to crochet, and so do I. She always watched the same soap operas as me and Margaret, One Life to Live and General Hospital. But our mom, Elna, never watched any soap operas, ever. But Granny listened to them on the radio in the old days and then on TV later. I wonder if General Hospital and One Life to Live will stay on for another generation. Thal and Elna and Colette, Margaret, and Stephanie. Stephanie's in the black. Elna's holding her. Well, at least it's dark. I'm not watching it in color. I don't know if it's black or not, but she's wearing a dark sweater or something. I believe that's Nadine by me. I think that's her jacket. And Mary Helen behind us. I can barely see her. That's me. And there's our, I forget what you call those little windows above the doorway. It's closed, but there I am. With Mom. We had real tall ceilings in that house. Needed to since Daddy was 6'5". And that says on the slide that it's Nadine, Colette, and Othello. Nadine Ruth. Mom and Father Stanley usually called her Nadine Ruth. The rest of us just call her Nadine. Stephanie, Colette, Nadine, and Margaret. It was Margaret's present, but we sure had fun playing with her with it. Little play cardboard grocery store with the cash register. Margaret's at the shelf, and looks like Colette's buying something, and Stephanie's in the cash register. Margaret and Colette. Othello and Stephanie and Colette. Stephanie's a little bit older. His youngest daughter and his first grandchild. There we are. So they had a grandchild before their youngest daughter was born. Could never believe that I was Stephanie's aunt. They'd always have to stop and figure it out. They'd say, "You must be mistaken, you must be cousins." But we'd say, "No, I'm her aunt." Every year they'd spend about 5 minutes figuring it up, and then they'd say, "Yep, you're right, you are her aunt." Looks like me and Stephanie both got tricycles for Christmas. Seems like there's always two most of the time. Be either the twins or Colette and Stephanie, or two at a time. Lori and Travis in the family pictures, or Lori and Danielle, her friend. Pictures of Rosie with her little blonde-headed friend. Generation picture. Stephanie, her mother Rosemarie, Rosemarie's mother Elna, and Elna's mother Florence Anderson. And I imagine Granny made those dresses for her and Mom alike. And there's Colette and Stephanie and the dog. I guess that's the dog Blackie. One of the dogs that was named Blackie over the years. That's Stephanie and Margaret. And there's Colette and Stephanie. Of course, Sam and Anche are another pair that's pretty close in age. And a lot of pictures together. Colette down in front, Nadine, Rosemarie with the longer hair, and Margaret. Nadine, Bill, and Othello. At Nadine's. And it's 1959. But it doesn't have the month. Othello behind his ham radios and a friend of his sitting down in front. We're starting in 1960. That's Colette. I believe Sterling bought that dress for me. Still Colette. This is February 1960. On that it's February. Must have had a big snow. Got the yardstick out there. Which way was? I guess this is upside down. The other way was right. Looks like the park, city park. guess that's our backyard. You can see a long ways. I guess the stuff that's, the house wasn't there that's behind those trees now. I think you can see all the way to the next street. Vivian, Margaret, and Colette. There's my second birthday pictures, I guess. Well, yeah, 1960. Yes, I did get a baton when I was 2. No wonder I wanted to be a twirler. I got a whole outfit, I think, from Margaret later on. I know I got a book, Little Majorette. Made of metal. I think that's Mary Helen. Wedding shower. It's Colette with Mary Helen's gifts. June 25th, 1960. On the me. I think we're at Lake Supply for this Easter. I've got a lot of pictures of 1960 at Lake Supply. But this may not be Lake Supply, this just may be Lake Marvin. We went to several lakes many times each year. Marvin, so I guess that one on the other was Lake Marvin. I think that's Sterling behind there. So that's probably Mary Helen, Sterling, and Colette down in front. 1960. Still at Lake Marvin. Mary Helen taking a bite. Looks like Sterling, and the dark-haired one must be Vivian, Teg, and Margaret on the other side, and Othello. Mary Helen and Sterling. Barely see me, or maybe Mary Helen's holding me on her lap. Margaret and Vivian. Sterling bending over, I guess. It was getting cold. I guess that's Margaret, her friend Vivian, and Colette. Dude. I guess that's Mary Helen. I haven't seen any. Margaret doing eggs, coloring the eggs. This must have been probably the night before. And this is Easter at Lake Marvin. Daddy doing a somersault. Kids all called him Granddad. That's Othello. And Sterling squatted down, and Margaret and Colette in her jacket, and Mary Helen and Othello in the back. Colette and Sterling and Mary Helen. Othello on the other side, and Margaret and Vivian on the end. Ellen and Vivian and Colette and Margaret and Othello. Looks like we're looking for eggs. Margaret and her friend Vivian and Colette. This still says Easter 1960. Mother's Day, May 1960. It says Margaret, Colette, and Othello. Mom's yellow rose bush she had in the backyard. That's Colette, of course. Ollie. And I believe it said Wally and Roll were twins on something I found. I know I have trouble getting them who is who, Wally or Roll. This is at Lake Supply up by Woodward. I think it's Othello's uncle. And there they are at Othello's parents' grave in Woodward. This 1960. Looks like Wally and Frank are both in there. And that may be Sterling and Othello. Othello's in the water. Wife Pearl. I didn't realize Wally and Frank were here at the same time. Maybe that's why I always get mixed up whose wife she is. Somebody capsized. I wonder if that's when Sterling didn't come up and pretended he drowned, and Othello was very mad about that. Scared to death at first, but I don't think this is the time. Because I think there was other people there at the time. And I'm guessing that's Colette, Mary Helen, Othello, and Margaret on the boat. And somebody's, Rose or Nadine, somebody's over here on the left on the shore, so I'm not sure who's on the boat. It's still August 21st, which is the day after Othello's birthday. Othello's birthday and their anniversary was both on August the 20th. Don't have the date, but it's Lake Supply 1960. so I guess it's probably the same trip. Colette, Mary Helen, and Elna, I believe. Our mom, Elna, with the hat. I'm the little one with my sister, Mary Helen. Lake Supply. Still 1960. These are those big slides, so I'm having to hold this up. And this doesn't say it's 1960. Colette and Othello. I don't know if that's Carrie or who in the white hat. Awful thin. Margaret, Colette, and Stephanie. That must be like Marvin Cabin. Whoops. Twins' birthday, 1960, August. Rosemary, looks like Mary Helen's in the middle, pregnant with Regina, and then Nadine on the end. Mary Helen. Stephen on the left by Nadine, then Mary Helen and Colette on the couch. I guess that's Colette behind. Mary Helen and Nadine on their birthday in 1960, so I guess they were 20 years old. Daddy's doing some woodworking in the shop, 62. Lake Supply. I've got a black eye. Somebody let me fall off the car. And that's the friend, Laureen, I mean. We have a friend, Noreen, too. This is Laureen Hill, and I guess that's her little kid. Yeah, I think that's Rose and Carrie. This is our first trip to Lake Supply with the tent. Mom and Dad. Mom always wore dresses while Daddy was alive, even to the lake. I know some of you grandchildren probably can't even hardly remember her in a dress. Maybe just on Easter Sunday, because she sure liked to wear pants once she got into them. But when I was small, she never wore pants. Remember, she said when Eva Pavlovsky wore pants to church, she decided it was okay. Here I am again. There's the old book rack Lori's got in her room right now. Stuffed full of Babysitter Club and Sweet Valley University and all kinds of scary books she reads. 1960. It's October 22nd, 1960 at Lake Marvin. Almost got this in upside down. The reflection of the boats is almost as clear as the boats themselves. Of course, the trees are only on top. like me, you'll think there's a lot more pictures of the boat than there is us. I know it seems like there's a lot of me, but that's just because I'm mostly taping my slides. Compared to how many there was of those twins, believe me, we've already taped them. Could probably fill up at least one videotape just of boat pictures. Lake Supply. Some of those said October 22nd. So I guess we spent the night. That's what those tents were for. Fort Supply. There's Halloween 1960, Colette and Margaret. Looks like we got a lot of loot there. Trick-or-treating. This will be Margaret's friends and me and Stephanie. You can see Mom went to a lot of trouble for the Halloween decorations too. Especially if they'll make a good picture. It's Mary Helen buttoning me up, and must be Margaret. Tape. Have to start another one. This is Halloween 1960. Colette. Cave of the Winds Caverns. Othello held Colette. Stephanie and Colette, Christmas 1960. Stephanie and Colette. Boy, I remember that yellow teddy bear. It was really soft. I think it had those old plastic dry cleaner bag type stuffing. It was so soft and crinkly, but it's dangerous. They don't use it anymore. I believe that's Nadine who got the coat like Mom's. Margaret, Stephanie, Colette. I think Margaret got a chemistry set there. Nadine and Margaret. Yeah, because my Helena's probably big as a house by now. Pregnant with Regina. If that's her behind the record player. I think it is Stephanie, Mary Helen, and Rosemarie. Well, they don't look too big. Let's see. Nadine's in the coat and Mary Helen in the scarf. Hello, Nadine. Yes, that's Mary Helen, and then Sterling, I think. Christmas dinner, 1960. Yeah, I think that's Sterling, and there's Carrie over in the back. Stephanie's by Carrie, and I'm by Rosie and Sterling. Margaret by Daddy. I love that little rocking chair with the clowns painted on it. Mary Helen and Othello, Nadine and Colette. Looks like Mary Helen's getting a good present. Developed in 1960. I think that's on Kingman Street. I used to love to skip through those trees on the way home from church if I was walking home. And this was developed in December 60, so I guess we had a white Christmas. At the top. Simmons out at Lake Marvin. Mom and Dad used to love. A lot of snow that year. This is still April. Developed in April anyway. 61. 3 years old. We're fixing to be. Got that old time refrigerator. There's Colette doing all the housework. Where are my sisters? Stephanie holding Regina and Colette beside her. Regina. Margaret, Regina, and Colette. April 14th, 1961. Regina, Colette, looks like Margaret and her friend Vivian, I guess. And Mary Helen, Colette, and Margaret. The neighbor, Vivian tagged, Mary Helen, Colette, and Margaret. Regina, Margaret, Colette, and Vivian. Looks like we got a Jack-in-the-Box for my birthday. I love that Jack-in-the-Box. I loved all my toys. Coming to Easter. Ellen, Regina, Colette, and Nadine. There's Daddy holding Regina. Regina's granddad, Othello, Regina, and Colette, her favorite aunt. Which is my mom. Elna holding Regina and Colette. Easter. Got a little out of order. Looks like Mary Helen, Nadine, and Colette. I think that's the same one, only that other was a big slide and this is a small one. Colette and Othello and Sterling. Lake Marvin, 1961. Looks like we're spending the night in the cabin. Probably still Easter. We did that several times on Easter. And I'm guessing that's Margaret, and of course the other one's Othello. And Colette. And Colette in the boat at Lake Brownwood. And I think that is the boat Dad made. The one he made was kind of square like that on the back. He made it to fit in the station wagon. It's not the one that was out in Mary Helen's yard for so many years. Fellow swimming with a pipe in his mouth. May 1961. Must be Othello and Margaret. There's Othello floating. And that other picture with the white hat, maybe, because it says it's Stephanie's birthday. There's Colette and Stephanie. In 1961. It's white and red too, so just like the new boat in color. This was small enough to fit in the back of the station wagon. There's me and Daddy. We're at Lake Supply.
Has anyone called for me yet? Hey. Where's that? Not that one.
It's the baby.
I found it.
So I think that may be Sterling in the background. And that must be me again. It's like Othello, Colette, and Stephanie. Stephen. There's Stephanie and Stephen. Bentley. This one's not marked, but I think these are the same year, 1961. Probably. Mary Helen and Colette. Mary Helen and Colette. But this may have been in the year before. I think we've seen it before. Some years they just didn't print it on the slides. And if Grandma didn't write it on, you have to guess. This is Sterling and Colette on the handlebars. And it says this is after confirmation. And there's Othello riding the bike. Once, I think that's Margaret and Daddy.
What do you make it? Just keep hamburgers off?
For chili. And there's Mom and Colette. Me and Mom. Well, it's hard because I imagine it's her grandkids mostly listening to this. Anybody older than me knows who everybody is.
No sign.
Stephanie's birthday again. Stephanie, Colette, and Margaret in the tent. I wonder if this is when the tent fell and they just left me and Stephanie under it and everybody else got in the station wagon to sleep. Everybody's tents fell and we woke up and the tent was on us. Margaret, Colette, and Stephanie. Which I think is by Abilene. Rosie used to live in Abilene. I think that's Sterling and Othello. Maybe. I think you can see better in the next one. I'm not sure if that's Sterling or Bill. I think it's Sterling though. It's so dark on this screen anyway. So it'd be August 20th, 1961. There's Othello, Colette, and Stephanie. And Mom and Dad's anniversary was the same day as his birthday, August the 20th. Are we hanging on to Regina? It's hard to tell. See Margaret, Colette, Stephanie, and Othello, and the baby, and somebody on the end. And with the candles. As it goes, I guess. Oh, that's a pipe. I guess. Thought it was something holding something else. Thought it was a tulip there for a minute, but it's a pipe. The twins' birthday, 1961. Like Bill Purcell and Nadine Purcell, then Colette, Margaret, Mary Helen, and Othello. Looks like Mary Helen's got her pin curls in. (1961) at Lake Fire. (1961) Stephanie, Margaret, Colette, and Regina. 51. The twins, or is that Rosie's ponytail? And Granny. Looks like Granny come down for Thanksgiving. Stephanie, Colette, and Regina. eating off the bottom of Grandma's serving cart. Because Regina wasn't big enough. I guess that was Mary Helen's ponytail, because that looks like Rosie in the middle. And then Nadine, and there's Granny. That's Stephen, probably. Nadine and Rosie, Mary Helen, and Granny. Because he would just be back from the hospital around then, I guess. I don't know about that. Maybe they're looking at something else. Maybe Regina. Now it's Christmas tree. Got a picnic table for Christmas. And a little bitty, tiny kitchen set, stove and sink and refrigerator down there. I think they were metal too. It's Margaret. There's Othello, Regina, I guess Mary Helen, Margaret, and Colette down in front. Margaret and Colette. Daddy and Regina and Mary Helen and Margaret, I guess. And Nadine's Christmas tree, 1961. And there's Daddy. I don't know if that's the Christmas tree story we've heard Nadine tell, or if that's a different tree, but it's the Christmas tree 1961. Looks like she may be pregnant in that. If I had my list handy, I could look it up. For 61, it's one of those big slides, but it's Halloween. There's Stephanie, little one, and Colette, and Regina, so I don't know who these other kids are. I guess they just came to our house trick-or-treating. Friends, I guess. It said Stout Ford Ranch, and this, I think, is March 61. Boy, there's a lot of pictures taken this day. Don't know where they're all at, but here's one of them. None of the rest were marked with a year. And we're starting 1962. Stephanie's holding Stephen, and Colette is holding Billy Mike. Billy Mike was born on New Year's Day, so I guess it was 62. He was born in Pampa, the New Year's baby in Pampa. Colette and Billy Mike. Mary Helen and Lita Colleen. And Lita was born on March the 19th, I believe.
Did y'all ride home after the game? Someone?
There's my daddy working
How's
on
my
his
makeup
boat.
look?
Looks fine. Boat. Working on that boat. Though he didn't make this boat, he made the other one from scratch.
Really?
But I had to get a bigger boat, I guess, getting too many grandkids. I think when we saw him working on wood when I had the black eye, that was probably working on the boat that he made from scratch. I think that was a couple years before this one. Put that she doesn't like this picture, but looks pretty good to me. We went with Nadine and Bill to the Shamrock Day Parade and Rodeo. There's Bill and Nadine and Stephanie. Ed. I don't know if Bill rode in that parade. It seems like he did. The other picture was taken before the parade, maybe. Seems like somebody told me. But no, the parade's already started in the other picture, so I don't know. Is in Shamrock is on St. Patrick's Day. So this will be March the 17th. For Lita, because she wasn't born till the 19th. Day. And probably some of the Tuckness kids are in there. Looks like a couple of them. That's Colette standing up. Margaret resting her head on her hand, holding Regina, and then Stephanie in the corner. And I'm 4 years old, it says. That I was 3 years old when she moved here. So her kids will start being in a lot of them, I guess. And I just don't remember a couple of these kids. But that's me holding my grandfather clock bank, which I still have. I took good care of my toys.
Okay, let's go.
There's Regina on top of the table. I think that's some of the Faye's kids.
Hey, which one? Any of them Carla K?
I don't think so. I think it's Kathy and Debbie.
Yeah.
But we'll have some pictures of Carla K later. I know we got some on that whirly gig.
Almost.
There's a baby. And this is April 14th, 1962. And box. For 1962. Those big slides. Stephanie and Regina. And there's Colette. And Margaret in the back. And there's that bank again. It reminded me of the grandfather clock on Captain Kangaroo. This is why I like that bank so much. And I started collecting banks when I got older. Lake
Mom,
Marvin.
can you come and get us at 6 o'clock up at the house?
You want to call back to this and tell them I'll call back after I come back?
Okay. Stephanie, Regina, and Colette. Easter 1962. And here's Easter 62. Those are the Lake Marvin cabins. I'm in front. Stephanie's walking, so I don't know if they're holding Regina or what. Looks that may be Margaret holding a kid. It's Colette fishing. At Lake Marvin, I guess. Well, if I took that hat off, I got a bad sunburn. Which I did many times. Sitting in the boat. Oh, that was fun. I think that's Lake Marvin. And you can almost smell the smells and feel the moss. It's Oklahoma. Looks like me and Dad. Looks like my face. I think Stephanie had a hat like that too. In their anniversary. It's Colette, Othello, and Elna, and Stephanie. In 1962, August the 20th. I want his face a little clearer. Birthday. '62, August the 20th. 1, 2, at least 3 babies. Second anniversary. In 1962, they've been married 32 years. He was born in 1910, so I guess he's 52 in that picture. And Rosie's on the sofa, and see Margaret and a bunch of kids all over the floor and everywhere else. Conked out. There's even a baby in the recliner. It's sitting on the little camping stove thing that used to be out in the backyard that my neighbor's kid smashed up with a hammer. What was left of it? There wasn't too much left of it by that time. Margaret and Colette and one of Margaret's friends. the twins' birthday, August 27th, 1962. So I guess they're 22. There's, looks like Mary Helen, Margaret, Nadine, and Colette. There's Colette, Nadine, Margaret, and Mary Helen. Looks like I'm getting a bear hug. Nadine and Mom and Mary Helen. Looks like Colette and Margaret and all Margaret's friends. So I wonder if that's her birthday or she's having a slumber party or something. Looks like that Our Lady of Guadalupe plaque thing hanging in the back. Mom gave one of those. There's Granny. First to play in the football game at Wheeler, so that must have been where she played her horn for the first time at a football game. And those may be the hats that I got to keep mine. We got new hats. We used the old ones and they all got rained on and ruined because we had to march in the rain at a contest, and so the band teacher let us keep ours, and they look like the same hats, I think. I think they're the same ones that Margaret used. Me and Granny. Looks like I'm trying to help fold papers. Or maybe I'm proofreading it for them. Looks like I've got one of those things trying to tighten up the little deals I've showed you girls. Some of y'all asked what those things were. See, the whole plate thing, the whole frame went on the press. Mary Helen has one of those frames, and we've all got pieces of the stuff that goes in them. $1962. Stephanie, Regina, and Colette. That looks just about like Lori and Brandon, Alicia, and Brittany's pumpkins. Brittany had a little bitty one. Brandon had a huge one, and Lori and Alicia had a pretty good size one this year. This is Stephanie digging her hand in there, and looks like Colette's using a spoon. Here in the back, Stephanie, Margaret, Colette, and Regina up in the front. Put heads on ours. Yeah, Mom just went all out on all the holidays. We had at least as much fun as the kids. I think that's a doll. The face looks plastic, but maybe not. I guess something's just on the slide. Maybe it's not, but I had a doll that was my size, but I don't know if I had it by this time or not. Looks like somebody told me something and I'm not buying it. Probably said just one more picture. Okay. Couple of spooks. Working on these slides again. Coin dealer. Which I think Mom said they let him spend the night once and he was telling them what he wanted for breakfast, and I think Dad told him that he could spend the night if he wanted to, but she didn't fix him what he wanted for breakfast. He could eat what everybody else had, I guess. Anyway, he'd come through and they'd buy a few coins and trade and stuff. Looks like I've got my muff, maybe, or is that a purse? Looks like Colette, Stephen, and Margaret. It's November '62. So you can see that thing hanging on the wall better in this picture. This is Stephen's birthday party. Probably, since we all got ice cream. And I'm standing up, handing somebody something. It looks like I took a tumble. Oh, there's some Tuckless girls. That was sweet, Colette and Stephanie. And I used to love those little velvet bows I got at Moses. And Moses is closing down this year in Pampa. They just had a little bobby pin to hold them. There's the doll that's my size. I guess I just got it for Christmas in '62. Maybe, I don't know. Lori's always taking her favorite doll, Karen, and putting it in all the pictures like she's a member of the family. And it used to be my doll. I believe that might be Daddy's motor. Margaret. Christmas 1962. Now, Mom's got a coat. I guess maybe they didn't get them the same years. Looks like maybe we both have new coats. Yeah, looks like that's probably when I got that doll. Granny thought the doll was me one time. I come in, she was talking to it. And I said, "Who are you talking to?" She's so startled. She said she thought she was talking to me. That's Daddy playing with my Etch-a-Sketch.